Good afternoon, everyone. Kathy back with Big Barn Blooms. How is everyone on this lovely afternoon? We got a great big pile here today that we're going to make a wreath with. I'm so excited about this wreath. You guys are going to love this design. It's super simple if you take it step by step, but a little hint, it's hanging right here. This is what we're going to make. So let's get this going. And when you come on, say hi and tell me where you're watching from. This will be a fun one. I love making this kind of a wreath. It's kind of English garden-y, but it's full. I mean, it's not just one-sided, which I like. And this is, I call a semi-homemade because we start with an ivy wreath base. I'll show you. Okay. So look at this big pile, you guys. And we are going to use just about all of this. This is a wreath that takes a lot of product, but it has that wow factor. It is a wowza wreath, I'm just saying. So it takes a lot. It's expensive to build because of all the stems you're using, but in the end, it's amazing. And it also can be used as a wreath or a centerpiece. Perfect for weddings. You can do them in any color combination. I did all white today, but you could use any combination you want for it, which is awesome. Hi, Georgia. Hi, Connie from Virginia. Hi, Garden Bug Designs. How are you today? Angel, good to see you. Let me see here. Get this working right. Okay, so I'm going to need to move this over a little bit. Let me rearrange a little bit here so I can fit everything. I don't really need zip ties at all, so I can put that down. Give me a little more room here. That way I can put that over there. Hi, Leanne. Good to see you on again. Hi, Frenchie. Hi, Georgia. Hi, Jamie. There I am. I was shifting everything down because this wreath takes a lot of room to build. At least for me it does. But I want to show this one because and I have my window open if you guys hear traffic. I mean, I'm not on a busy street or anything, but I guess kids are coming home from school and stuff. So this is the kind of wreath that you would see like in Front Gate, you know, some of those really elegant online companies that sell all the beautiful flowers. So it's really a cool design to know how to do. It's just layering like anything else. So some of the things we're using, we're going to use those little berries that we got from, little berry picks from Michael's. These look really good in it. So I'm going to separate all this out, and then I'll bring that up forward so you can see it. We're going to use some of these white flowers from Michael's. And we'll put flowers over there, because flowers are not last, but they're toward the end. Some big white roses. This is what makes this expensive. I mean, you could buy like a bunch of roses. But I wanted really good quality in these. These were from Michael's, so you could get Hobby Lobby, whatever, but I want the really stiff ones that aren't going to flop, and sometimes the bush ones are very flimsy. So we're going to accent with some of these little guys out of a bouquet. I've already used a lot of this, but we're going to use those. Those are at the very end. Then these. Look at these, you guys. So these were Michael's. Yeah, these were Michael's. So these are really nice because it's little bunches on this one branch, and we're going to use all the little bunches broken down. So I love these. We're using a bunch of these, right like that. And a lot of this stuff is going to go away. You're going to go, where is it in there? I don't see it. Such as this hydrangea. We're going to break this hydrangea down into little pieces and then here and there. So sometimes when you add hydrangeas to your wreath, you don't need 4 or 5 hydrangeas, not even 3, 1. Break it down, put little tiny pieces of it, and just to add that little touch of hydrangea without breaking the bank. Then, of course, we're going to use some of these little carnations. Oh, something just took a dive. So we're going to use these. These were Michael's Spring. Love, love, love these. Then we're going to use, oh, there's another bunch of those. I brought 2 just in case. We're going to use some of these. So this is greenery we're adding now. We have those. We have these, which were Michael's Spring. These, which were out of my own stash, because this is all I have left, so we're going to use it. Put those over there. And this is the base. Look at that base. So this is like super cheap ivy, you guys. It's nothing to write home about. But what I liked about it was the color. Okay, so the color is that bright green. It's got the big funky leaves. Yeah, it's not great, right? But you guys, when you're building one of these, you need a lot of green in the background. And it's almost cheaper than starting with, like, say, a grapevine and then adding all your ivy. You'll spend way more money. So look for these when they're on clearance at Joann's or Michael's. Just saying, after the season, which is when this was purchased. So let me bring this forward and then I'll hang it back up because it's kind of cool to see it up close. And this is quite a long one. I hate to say, but it did, I think it took me, oh, it might be quicker on this one because this one took almost 2 hours. But that's what it looks like up close. And it's not completely symmetrical with everything I put in it. We're gonna kind of space things as good as we can, and what I like about these wreaths, these bases, they have a big hook already in them. So you don't have to worry about a hook either. But this is what we're going for. So there's all kinds of little pieces of everything I just showed you. And that entire pile is in this wreath. Very heavy, this wreath. Oh my gosh. So anyway, this is what we're going for. So let's go ahead and hang this back up, this bad boy, if I can. I almost need a hook in front of me so I can use it as a reference, but I'm pretty good. I got it. I got this. Okay, so let's see who's on before I start diving in here. Frenchie, Annie, hi. I don't know. Annie, I don't know how everything goes together. It's just in my head. I don't know. I love flowers. I live and breathe flowers 24/7. I swear, I drive my husband crazy. I should have had all girls, but even my boys are like, hey, can you make something for my house? So they're good. Monday, hi from Nigeria. Cool. Lisa, Melissa, welcome. Thanks for watching. Tina, hi from Illinois. I like it. Leanne. Okay, so we got Connie. Hi. So anyway, thanks for joining, guys. So let's dive in. I don't fluff this ivy. I mean, you could pull a little bit of it forward. It does fluff, right? But you'll find that you're going to be doing that when you're installing these stems, like big time. So we're going to fluff it just a tiny bit, but we don't care because, as you saw in that, this is all going to go away. So I'm going to start with these guys. So I want some more length out the end of this whole wreath. So what we're going to do, remember, if you guys are making these to sell, cut your tags and make yourself a pile so you can keep track of how much you put in a wreath like this, because it's going to be an ouchie. It's a lot. But you make one of these and you'll go, oh my gosh, I want to make 10 more. This is the kind of wreath when I want to just zone out, listen to music, watch a little TV, I can just go, because you just keep going in a circle, in a circle, in a circle. So to me, it's a very relaxing wreath to make, because you're not thinking of like a one-sided design or novelty with like little bunnies or little things you got to put in it or a sign. It's just a circle. Every layer is just a circle, and so it's relaxing. To me anyway. I mean, that's how I look at it. Okay, so we're going to cut these down all the way so that we can put these in. And we're going to use 3 stems of this. The last little bit of this we're going to save for the very end, because once we get the wreath all built out, I like a few of these pieces in front, because a lot of these do really disappear when you start layering. But for now, we're just going to cut all these little guys off so that we can get them in there. Cut off the big stem. Don't need a lot of length, so it's okay just to cut them down. This is why I like this greenery. This is so versatile. This from Michael's. It's really, really good. Okay, so there's a little pile. Let's go ahead and cut this one down too. Try to cut as quickly as I can. Half the time is like cutting the stems and taking the price tags off. but I didn't want to cut it down before this little tutorial. So Melissa, oh, it's very relaxing for you too. I like that. Some people get nervous and tense doing it, and that's why I say just relax and go with it. If you put a layer of something on and you stand back or hang it up, see, I work on a flat surface. A lot of people go, how can you see what you're doing? If you're paying attention, and I'll tell you how I do it, if you're paying attention to what you're doing, even though you're relaxing, it is very easy and it is relaxing. But you just have to know the method. Once you get the method down, you're like, I could do this. And then you will relax. Hi, Donna. Donna from Reading. I'm just saying there's not many people from Reading that watch my live, so that's awesome. Rhonda, hi. Welcome to the page. Sue from Maryland, welcome. See, I've got my iPad over here, so I'm like bobbing back and forth. Let's see, who else did I miss? Okay, I think I've got them all. If not, just go, you missed me, you missed me. Okay, so let's keep cutting here. So easy. You guys are gonna love this. Okay, so look at this big pile. Look at how those 3 stems turned into all of this. That's why I like those. Look at all the stems we have now. So, and this is a really good quality greenery, I think. I love how they're variegated. They look real. It looks like a real piece of greenery. So now what we're going to do, this is how I figure out how I'm going to build this. So when you look at your wreath and you put it on a table or on a wall, think of it as a clock, and you will not mess up your placement, because as we get going on this, you're going to go, where was that last one? So we've got 12, right? 3, 6, 9. So 12, 3, 6, 9. Then we go in between those. Got it? So you're kind of like making it like a grid. So if you keep in that fashion when you're going around, you'll never mess up. That's how I do it anyway. I don't know if there's any other ways of doing it, but that's how I keep track of what I'm doing. So I'm going to start with 12, 3, 6, 9, and I'm going to just stick these in. Now, even though we're going like that, they're not going to be straight. We're going to go in a spiral. That's how you get that look. So when I start at 12, it's going to be tilted a little bit toward 1. So these go all different directions, but we're going to keep everything we add in a clockwise circle, okay? So let's keep going. There's 12. And we want these, we're not gluing it. Remember what I said? Place twice, glue once. So that's important with this kind of a design. Because you get going and you check out like me, and I'm watching TV or whatever, and I'm like, ooh, I missed one. So I think it's important to do that, to place them all. Oops, see, I missed one. I missed cutting this one down. But I think it's important to go ahead and place them, and then go back and glue them so that you don't miss anything. And there's going to be long pieces and there's going to be short pieces. So on the very outside of this wreath, we're going to come into the middle. On the very outside, we're going to use the longest pieces. Okay, so we have one right now at 12. We have one at 3. This one at 6. And this is where you just kind of lift up your ivy a little bit so you can get down into that wreath. And again, we're at 6, but we're curving this way. And then, of course, 9. So think of it as a clock face, and you will never fail on this design. So we're going to push this in there. You start, and it looks just so sad. I'm like, this is the ugliest ivy in the world. Sorry, Joanne's, but it's cheap. And I like things to look real and fresh. So, but I know this background color is going to be perfect for this wreath. So I'm glad that I have it to work with. Okay, so there's our first 4. So let's go ahead and glue those in, okay? We're going to go in between it, so we're not going to have even numbers. But every section like that, place them, glue them. So as you can see, I'm sorry, you guys, this is going to be a lengthy one. So I know a lot of people message me, can you keep it under an hour or 45? When I can, if I'm doing a smaller project, and I can, but I'm trying to get all my spring out right now. So some of them, I just can't do it. So, but know that if you have to leave, make dinner or whatever, that I'll have it on replay. So I will go ahead and share it when I'm done. So, guys, what have you been up to today? It's pouring again in Reading, woohoo, which is really good. We need it. Okay, and when you pull them out to glue them, make sure you have a visual of where you pulled it out. And that's why I think it's important to like look at where you're going with this. Using that clock method, otherwise you're going to look at all this grid and go, where was this one? It happens. But if I can keep that clock face in my brain, especially when I'm doing just one little layer at a time, you'll make sure everything is even. Okay, so there's that. So we started, I believe, at, did we start at 12 or 6? Anyway, either way. Someone told me where we started. I don't know. But I can see the others, so we're just going to go around here, and then we'll start back up at noon again, or 12. Wish it was noon. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I got that. Let's put this one here, and then again, even though we're starting at that point, we're going to curve it. We're keeping the spiral in a clockwise direction. So everything will make sense in the end. Okay. So we got that. So if I come back up here, we've got 12. We've got 3. This will be 6, and that's 9. And it doesn't matter if you pivot your wreath. Just look at what you already have, and it doesn't matter what number you're actually on, but because they all interchange, of course, duh, right? Okay. So there's our first 4, and you probably can't see them really well. We got here, 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 and here. So I'll just hold that up really quick. There's the start of it. And you don't see a whole lot because of the colors right now, but you will. Trust me, you will. And look at, they're all scattering because I like shifted them when I did that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is in between all of these. So I'm still looking for my longer pieces. That's a longer one because there are both. I still have one to cut down, but that's probably the one I'm going to use at the end. Okay. So now you guys, let's go in between. So we're going to go between 1 and 3, or noon and 3. So we're going to be somewhere around the 2-ish, you know, we're splitting the difference. 1:30, right there. Then we're going to come in between these 2. And again, I'm placing twice, gluing once. Someone asked, what does that mean? It means I place them once to make sure they're supposed to be there, where they're going to sit and live in the wreath. And then I glue and I place the second time when I'm actually installing them. So that's my place twice, glue once. And then you won't end up with things you got to cut out and rip out and whatnot. So, okay, so I'm coming in between these 2 right here. And then in between these 2 right here. You guys see how easy this method is? Especially if you're thinking of it as a clock. Super easy. Okay, so now I'm going to start down here at 6 because it's closest to me. Well, it's not 6, it's between. But what we're doing, we shifted it, and I should explain that. So now we've shifted it, you can bring it back to the regular clock, and all those are in between that are already glued. Does that make sense? It does in my brain, but if you make one of these, you'll go, oh, I see now. Because we're just going to continue to turn it around. Okay, let's get these glued in. And as we do this, we're bringing them forward too. So we're putting them in, but we're kind of tilting them up just a bit. We don't want them flat. We want the dimension in this wreath. It's easy at this point because you can just kind of lift up your ivy and go. This one is giving me heck. Okay. And then just kind of push them up. So because I just did that one, this one is glued. So now this one needs to be glued. Easy, easy, easy. Or, I mean, you can eye it. I know some people that'll do a similar design like this, they'll just eye it going around the wreath. But another reason that I do it this way with the clock method is because you don't want to run out of product, okay? So you don't want to start placing and then you get halfway to 3/4 around the wreath and you've placed them too close to each other and now you're out of product. Has anyone done that before? So after years of doing this type of a design, I'm like, I got to figure out how to space this so it makes sense and I don't end up short, you know. And it works. It works every time. Okay, so this is, I think, the last piece of that. Okay, here we go. So there's a piece here, we're going to go right in the middle here. And again, we're still spiraling to my left. I'm sure it's your right on camera, but making sure. Getting that spiral going. So there's that one. So now that these have had time to dry a little bit, I'm going to go and just give them a little tug. I know I didn't miss anything on this pass, but it's just a good idea because we're going to build and build and build, and then you're going to be going, where is what branch? You know what I'm saying? So those are all glued in. So check your stems after each circle, each little rotation. Okay, so now we have the noon, or the 12, we have the 3, the 6, the 9, and everything in between. And then look how even it is. I don't know if you can see it. You'll see it probably on the next greenery I put in. So we're going to go into the middle. This greenery blends pretty good, so you're not going to see a whole lot. But when we get to this guy, where it's variegated, you're going to really see it pop. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I need 4 pieces each pass. So, and you can also, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can also put them in piles of 4 because we're using the clock method, and it'll help you keep track. And then everything at the end that doesn't equal 4 will go in at the very end of this wreath so that you get some things popping up the front. So I have 4 more. So we can go in between this all again. But what we're going to do, we're going to go clock again. So what I'm going to do though is come forward. So we have the background pretty much done, but I don't want all the levels to be on the outside of this wreath. I want to come into the middle bit a little bit. So let's do 12. Let's do 3. And we're going to offset a little bit from the one we put in before. Does that make sense? And then we're going to bend up a little bit on this. So we're kind of a little bit in between the like the 3 and the 430 or whatever. So just kind of go around and space it a little bit, but you're going to kind of stay into that clock rotation there. Okay. So now we have 1. This one needs to come over a little bit. 1, 2. A little bit further in. This is when it gets kind of hard to see. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. This one, let me put it on top of this ivy because this ivy's trying to hide it. So there's our 4th piece. So we've got our spiral still going on, right like that. And we have our next 4 pieces. So let's glue those in one by one. And you keep like flipping the stem, like I'm like, please glue, don't drip on these big leaves. And it happens. Every single wreath I do like this. Before I can get it dove down into the branches, it's like dripping. I'm like, because I use a lot of glue on these because I don't want them coming loose. But and then again, once you push them into those branches of the base, make sure you're wiggling them a little bit so that they super connect. Okay, 1 more. And then I think this will be good for this greenery. See, it's trying to drip, and I gotta get down there a little bit more. Come on. Here we go. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 2 layers. So outside now we've come into the wreath a little bit. Look how it's already coming to life. And then you can see this way we're popping it up. Pretty monochromatic right now, so it's like, can I really see those? No, you can't, but you will. You will. Because little by little this ivy's going to go away and you're going to go, wow, it's like a fresh wreath. That's what we're going for. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put any more of this in. I'm going to take these precious little stems here, put them aside to add at the very end, so we have some of them coming up and you can see them front and back. So now I'm going to cut these guys down. I love these. Let me just first cut the 2 branches off, then from there we'll come down even more. Because we're going to try to go, I got to count and see. I think I used 2 on the last one. But we need to go around twice again. So let's see how we're going to do that. So now I'm going to cut these down, each branch. There's 2. And then from there, we're going to cut those down some more. So we need little pieces. So what I'm going to do is this. Cut the top off. So I have this big piece. Then I have these, which looks kind of funny there, so I'll cut that tip off. So we're just cutting them down so we can use them. So there's a kind of a triple. And then let's use this. Some of these littler ones will go in the front of the wreath when we're done again. Okay, we're going to cut that little guy off. This is what's so time consuming about this. It's like cutting everything down so you can use it. It's another big one. So I'm kind of making them in piles of big and little. This is how you get the most mileage out of your stems. Big time. Okay, this will be 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't need this little piece. So on the back side, we're going to do these. So 1, 2, 3. I don't need this one. So I'm just kind of even them all up so that they make sense when I put them in. So I need 12, 12, 3, 6, 9. Okay, so there's my first ones. And then we've got all these little ones to go in between. One more big one. Okay, so we're going to start with these. This is going to be so pretty. So we're going to start placing these just like the other ones. But because we already have 12 done, almost like twice, shift your wreath a little bit. So 12 will now be in between these 2 piles. So it'll be 12. So see, there's a space right there. 3, 6, and 9. Is that the best one? Yeah, it is. Making sure. 9. So there's our clock for this next layer. I need to start over here where it's shorter, where it's closest to me, because I end up reaching across the table and it's just not good. I get excited, just get going. Okay, so let's make a layer of these in the background. So we're going to lift up this huge ivy and now just start installing these around. These I didn't actually shove in. You get the gist now. I mean, when I say place it, you can't actually push them in, but once you get the gist of doing that clock, the clock spiral, just lay them on top of where they're going to go. You'll find a place to put them in. Okay, so if I push that to 3 now I'm down to 6. So every time you rotate it, have like either 12 or 6. I say 6 because I'm looking at the clock, right? So now this is up at 3, and now I'm inserting one down at 6 again. It'll keep you straight, trust me. There we go. And then there's several little stems on here, so we can actually bring one forward a little bit on both of these. See, we've got that little one. Look at how that starts filling that right there. Love those colors. Okay, so this was 6, and now I'm going to shift that to 3, and now this will be 6. Keep yourself straight. Anyway, is this making sense to everyone? Tanya! Hi, Tanya. Leanne, I'm glad you got yourself all organized. Can you come to my house? I could use some help. Mine's such a mess right now. Frenchie, this wreath was clearance from Joann's. Can you believe it? So, I mean, it's not the prettiest wreath. I don't really look at that. What I kind of look at is how full is it, where my background will be taken care of. So think of that when you're making a wreath, when you're going to do this type of a project, I should say. Because, you know, some of you don't need all this greenery, but for this one you do, so that it ends up looking solid like that. And then you're using the greenery that came with the wreath. You're not buying a wreath and buying a bunch of greenery so that you can, you know, green it out before you start your design. It's a good way to go, I think. So, it saves you a little work. Hi, Rita. Frenchie. Leanne, are you close to Reading? It's such a mess right now. I really went through and tried to, I mean, you can't tell behind me, but I did add more flowers back there and tried to bring some more over that I'm going to be needing. But wow, things are a bit of a mess over here right now. And I was kind of sad because I checked in, the rest of my Michaels order came in. I didn't get everything I ordered. Did anyone else have that problem? Where they shorted me. And I was like, dang it. Things I had planned, I'm like, okay, I got to rethink this now. So that's kind of a bummer. So I think our page here did good for Michaels. Okay, so we've got 12, we've got 3, we've got 6, we've got 9. Right like that, and look at how already it's starting to change now. Just a few stems. So now let's come in the middle. So I have 2 doubles. So let's do a couple doubles and then we'll do some singles. So this is switching it up a little bit, but it'll look good. We've got these 2 doubles that we can use. So I'm going to shift it again where there aren't any. So my new 12, right? So we're going to put one of these here, and we're coming a little further in, and of course one of these here at 6. And then we'll use some little ones. We'll come into the middle a bit. So we'll do our 3, and then we'll do our 9. And we're just going to keep doing that. We're going to keep going around and around. So let's leave those. And these are going to be for the very end. So I'm going to put these over here. This is the last round of these. Okay, so here's the first one. I'm going to kind of bend it a little bit. These are great too if you do this to sell. These are great double door wreaths. I always do in pairs because I always have someone that says, do you have 2 of them? So these look wonderful as a double door wreath. They're so beautiful. I hope you guys try them. And send me a picture. I want to see. I didn't go far enough over on that one. Okay. So, and then some of these, go ahead and push them into the center. Because a wreath just doesn't grow out. Well, a wreath doesn't grow, but you know how you do those wreaths. You don't want your center to be bare. I like to come into my center a little bit. Does that make sense? I guess that wasn't the right way to say it. So definitely push some of them in, especially the doubles, if you're going to use these same kind of flowers. but just throw some in the middle there. So some will be pointing at each other oddly once you start going around like this. It's fine. You kind of want a little bit of chaos in here. That's why I like these big doubles, because you can always push one up and one down. So bring that to the middle. And that one's a little bit too long. I'm going to cut that. A little too long. I need it a little bit shorter in there. Got a little too crazy. The really long ones are good for the ends, but not in the middle here. So it's still together, but at least it's a little bit shorter now. And then we should have this one to put in. But if you place twice, glue once, you'll be in business. I don't ever suggest doing this where you work around and glue as you go, because I tell you, I've been doing this for years, and every time, I'll burn myself, every time I will lose where I am in this because of all the green. You just lose your place. Super easy to lose your place on this. Okay, I need this to stand up a little more. Pull that back. There we go. And we'll push that in. And that's the first one. Okay, so that's 2 rounds. But you see how some of them, can you see those in the middle? That they're kind of pushing into the middle? It's a good look when this wreath is done. You will like it. So I have one more here, so I'm going to put this aside for later. Okay, next, that, believe me, is the hardest part of this whole wreath, is that first base greenery. 2 kinds of greeneries. Next, we're going to put some of these guys in. These little snowball type guys. And I love that they have the bigger leaves. Oh my gosh, so nice. So let's cut these down a bit. And when we cut them down, we do end up with some leaves left over, so we'll put those aside to use. And let's see what we got here. We have 3. So we're going to have to offset. I say 11, right? About 2-ish and 6. Can you see where we're going with this? Like this and this, almost like you're making the letter Y. So the stem of the Y, and then it branches out. So they're evenly placed, because this is all I have for this. I don't think I brought any more. No, this is the end of it. How many did I put? I think I put a few more in there. Yeah, I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in there, but I just don't have 5 left. So we're going to do this, and it'll look fine. If you have 5, you can space them a little more. But this will look okay. So we're going to come down now. We are at 6. Like that. Then we're going to rotate it to 11, which is right here. And the next one over here. It's a little too long. We don't need a lot of length on these. Okay. Bring this into here before it drips on me. So we just made a little triangle right like that. See how it's starting to fill up, you guys? Very, very easy. Very easy. Now these wreaths, this is made out of that angel vine. It is so messy. It is so messy when you're spinning it and everything. Oh my gosh, splinters, everything. So just bear with it. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna add, it's not these. We wait till these till way later. We're gonna use our big roses next. So we have 3 of the big roses. I'm gonna make sure that's what I put in there. Yep, 3. So now this is where things change up a little bit. You're going to be going in a circle again. We're going to make a triangle again like we just did. But we don't want them all at the same level. Like these are all pretty much in the same area of the wreath. Middle of the round of the wreath. All facing up straight. Now when you do a wreath like this and you want it to look natural, you need to position these in different directions and different positions on the wreath. So even though we are going to do our little Y again, so we're going to go in between these, I might have one that comes out right on the outside of the wreath like that, and then another one. This is what makes it look natural, kind of that English garden-y, kind of not so perfect look, which I like. Let me take off these tags. So maybe this one I'll go smaller, and I'll come into the middle. And then maybe this one faces into the middle. So this one might face out like this. This one faces in. So do you see what I'm doing there? It really makes it look cool. So get rid of those. And we have extra leaves if we need them at the end. Throw those over there. I guess I should have de-tagged all these, but it's okay. Get my little pile going. Okay, so this one is in, that one is out, facing like completely away from the center of the wreath. So maybe this one just rests right straight in the middle. So they're all a little bit different, but that's what's going to make your wreath interesting. And they're not super evenly placed, but do you see how that is? Did you see how that was? This guy fell right out. So let's put him back in again, and I'll hold him. But see how they're kind of facing different directions? That's key to this wreath. You don't want everything doom, 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 all facing the same way, all the same distance. This is when we start getting a little bit crazy with it. So let's glue these guys in. And again, we're making another triangle. We're going in between the little snowballs. So if you try to make one of these wreaths, you guys, just get similar shaped blooms when you go shopping for your stems for this, or if you're checking your inventory. You don't have to use exactly what I do, but try to concentrate on the shape of what I'm using. Color, you can do any color you want, of course. But it's really nice if you stay with these shapes. The wreath will come out looking great. Okay, so now I'm going to turn to this one. And I think I'm going to take this last leaf. We can go down to just the stem and place some little rose leaves around when we're all done. So we can do that. But for now, and then because we're going into this wreath, you can put your little hook on the end like we did on that other tutorial, just so you can get it down in there and then control the position of the rose, the way it faces. So let's do that. This one's going to face kind of just straight up. That one's facing in. And this one's going to actually face out. So I'm going to cut that off. Use a lot of glue. This is probably easier to use with a glue pot than a gun, but I didn't turn my on. So this one is going to actually face out, where this is facing more straight and that's facing in. But you see how it starts to look a little bit more natural. Pretty good. Easy peasy. Okay, next, we're going to add these guys. I love these. Love these. If you can ever find roses, garden type silk roses that have multiple little clusters, grab them. They are so fun to work with. So there's 3. So we're going to use 3 of these, and each one has 3. So we have 9 to put in. So let me break these guys down. And they're in groups of 3, so we can go around 3 times with this, which is really nice because we could go outside on the perimeter facing out, we can go in the middle, and then we can go on the inside of the wreath. So think of that. Now if you can't find single stems like this that have 3 groups on one, just find a single stem one that has 3 or whatever little groups and use each stem. Or something else. We're going to add these. Remember these little bouquets I talk about? And we're going to use these too. But if you couldn't find those, These come in different sizes, like the big pink ones back there. But you can make your own little cluster, you guys. Just, you know, either floral tape them together, or if you have a stemming machine. So you can make your own clusters. So don't go, I can't find them. I can't find a stem that has a cluster on top. It's okay. Make your own cluster. It's fine. So there's plenty of places that sell little tiny miniature roses, you know, the smaller buds or whatever, and you just group them together. Okay, so there's our first set, right like that. So let me just cut them all. I like to just be able to run with it. So let's cut these suckers down. So there's one set there. Let's get our second set. I need to take my garbage out. It is like overflowing. Let's move these out of the way. Don't need those right now. I try to clean as I go so I don't end up with, you know, piles and mess everywhere. It gets harder to make these wreaths when you got piles of everything everywhere. Okay, so there's our third. All right, so within these clusters, this has almost 4. This has 2, this has 3, okay? So kind of pay attention to that when you're doing your spiral, because each layer you want all the 4s in one area. Does that make sense? So I know this gets a little complicated, but it's fine, you guys, if you just take the time to pay attention where you're placing. So if I start with the ones with a 4 cluster here, the next wreath or the next layer will pivot, and we'll start with the 3, and then we'll start with the 2. Does that make sense? So you're going to look for where you left off on the last one, and just make sure when you're pivoting to go in between those, you start with a different number of clusters. And if you're making your clusters, do the same thing. I like that these are all different numbers of clusters because it'll make the wreath more interesting. So if you're building your clusters, just do that. Maybe cluster 3 and then 2 and then 4. Whatever you need to do to make it look interesting. You're building a garden wreath. Okay, so the first one, we have 4. So I'm going to come, I want to offset these guys. So I've got my triangle here. So I'm going to come in between the first 2 roses, and we're going to start on the outside. So we're going to have 1. I'm going to start with my big cluster there. And then we have 2 more. This is a 3. So let's put this guy over here. And this is going to be, we only have 3, so I need to go in between the next 2. See, I caught myself. I'm like, where am I now? So we're going to go there. And they're not going to all be like in your face visible, because these are coming out the side of the wreath. Then we're going to come in between these 2 over here. Does that make sense? Am I losing you guys, or are you going, yeah, this is working? So I hope this makes sense. It's the only way I can describe how to do this wreath. Okay, so we're going to throw that in there, like that. So I haven't glued them yet, but you see how they're kind of out the side? You want that look. See, that one's out the side, and this one is out the side. Not everything needs to be on top. Don't forget your sides. And 2, if you have them on, let's say you have it on a front door, you open the door, you're going to see that side of the wreath. So this is where your design skills are like, that's cool. It's finished all the way to the back or the sides. It'll just look really nice. Nancy, hi. Doris, hi. No, this was actually a, it's made out of angel vine and ivy. It's those basic wreath bases that are just ivy, like from Joann's. That's all it was. And I purchased this on clearance after the season. So look for those, you guys, because they are awesome to build this kind of a design. Grapevine, you would spend a fortune. And not only that, these are very lightweight bases. So grapevine's kind of heavy, right? This is, I think it's half the weight of a grapevine wreath. So you're adding a lot of stems, so that helps with your weight for shipping. So there's a win-win for this base. I love it. Leanne's in Arizona. Well, that's not too far of a drive to get to California. Just kidding, Leanne. Oh man, I do need help here though. Okay, so let's glue these guys in. So again, we're doing our little Y or our triangle. So our clock is not going out the window, but it is a little bit. So now we're going into, it'll come back because some of the stems will have more to put in. But for these roses, we're going into the triangle or the Y. So I'm going in between the big ones and I'm going on the outside of the wreath. Oh, that was a good burn. Ow. Be careful. You gotta use a lot of glue, but man, you gotta be careful because as you're pushing it in, the glue is grabbing the other, oh man, that's gonna hurt. It's gluing the other pieces of ivy. You know, it's making a snail trail, I guess, and you go pushing it in and it just grabs your hand. So be careful. Don't do what I do. Let's see, no glue stick. I think the last one I used 3 glue sticks on this wreath. If you are coming on a little late, I will post this replay from the beginning. You can watch it, but this is what we're making right here back on the wall, if that helps. It is a process, but it's a process that if you do it, you'll love it. You'll go, oh my gosh, I gotta make more of those. And once you know the method of it, it's like, this is, to me, the most relaxing wreath you can build. This is a fun one. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. And all of these are facing out on the outside of the wreath. So now if I spin it, can you see how the sides are getting shown some love? So now we're going to take our next group. So we have 3 groups of 3. So now I want to come into the middle, and then we'll do the very center. So now I'm on top in the middle. So remember I said we got to find our group of 4. This is my group of 4. So because that's the group of 4, I'm going to put it down here, and I'm going to start over here. So there's a group of 3 on top. Then, or 4, sorry. Then I'm going to come over here because we're doing a triangle again. So now I'm going to do group of 3. And then in between these, kind of, we're offsetting a little bit because it's hard to stay on that triangle because I've got this one here. I don't want them stacked. So if I go straight in between the 2 big blooms, they're going to look like they're in a line. So offset it. See how this one offsets just like, you know, from 6 to say 7, if that makes sense. So go one you know, hour, I guess, on the clock. So if this is here, this is 1 hour over. This is here, this is 1 hour over. Does that make sense? So you don't want them stacked like this on the wreath. Okay, so there's our 3 there. I don't know how else to explain this, but if you follow that, it'll look amazing when you're done. Everything will be in there. I mean, you can mess around with it a little bit and put some of them a little offset, so you've got a bigger clump over here. You can do that too. It looks good. And I think I did some of that on that one. But to actually teach this wreath, this is what I do. So I'll bring that, and see we're getting close to the white, the big white ones. That's fine. Get this guy in. And then I'll hold this up and show it to you after this layer. This is a 3. And then this one. So we're offsetting. If the wreath is facing you and you're working either on an easel or on a table, just go 1 hour on your clock face to the left. That's how I keep it straight. So I've got this pointing out the middle of the wreath. We're 1 hour over. And now it makes sense. Okay, we can stop here. Look how pretty that's looking. Very natural. Not completely symmetrical, and that's okay. We have a lot more to put in this. So now we have 1 more set of these. Look at 3 stems. Look how much mileage we're getting out of that. So now we're going to take these 3. Let me find my 4 stem again, or my 4 bloom. So my last 4 bloom on top, is here. So I'm going to go opposite. So I'm going to go over here. These are going to come into the inside of the wreath. This is way too long. So these are going to point in the middle. This is when your wreath really starts looking full. So I don't care that it's hanging out into the center. That's like perfect. So we're going to go 1. Where's my 3? We'll go 3 here. I'm just kind of setting them. And then 1 more over here. It's getting crowded, but it's a good look. This is what we want. Okay, so there's your center of your wreath now. Isn't that cool? And of course they're flopping. I've got to install them, but let's go ahead and glue those puppies in. Easy peasy. And not a lot of choices. I know I'm always taking polls. So, because this is mimicking that, there's not a lot of polls on this one where I'm like, which flower should we use, you guys? So feel free to comment and tell me what you're thinking. So I get some comments on this puppy, if you feel like it. Tell me what you were working on today. Someone talk to me. Talk to me, you guys. So anyway, it's just, this is one of those wreaths that once you learn it, you guys will just, you'll love it. This is a great design to do. And like I said, to me, it's super, super relaxing to create this wreath. I love the guys on the inside. I think those are my favorite blooms to put in. They're just amazing when you put them on the inside. All right, so this is our last little cluster. So we're putting this deep. And it's okay if they touch another bloom. Totally all right. You're going to have that more and more. So there they are, all installed. Look at how that's looking. We got them on the outside, got them on the inside, got them on top, which is what you want. Okay. And your fingers will hurt after this. So let's see. I gotta take a drink of water real quick. Oh, Angel, that'll be pretty. That was so pretty, that swag. You guys, if you're not already following Angel, she does beautiful work. It's like, follow her page. Susan, beautiful, big and lush. Doris, my husband made me a homemade bowl maker yesterday. I have not tried it yet, but he did a great job. Nice. Oh, bow maker. Got it. Yeah, you know, Doris, you may end up hooked and go, I got to get into this more. Leanne, I'm working on an arrangement. Your wreath is looking great. Thank you. Connie, thank you. Tina, thank you. Kathy, I'm glad, Kathy. It's good to hear that this is making sense, because this is, if you just were to look at this, you'd go, how did she come up with that? And yet it's kind of got some symmetry to it, right? Not quite, not completely symmetric, but there is a method in it. There's method to the madness, so I'm glad to hear that. Can you show the wreath? Yeah, let me turn it around, Sue. I should have grabbed another one out of my storage, because I have like 5 of these. But this is what it looks like in back. So it's this angel vine with this big, ugly green ivy all over it. And when you watch it from the beginning, so watch it on replay to catch the beginning of this. I show it before I start. And it's amazing, because it's not a hideous wreath, you guys. It really is not hideous. But to see it, when you start, you're like, so you didn't make that out of that? And I'm like, yes, this is the perfect wreath to make this kind of a design, because so much of the work is done. Can you imagine if we had to start weaving all the ivy just to cover that twig base? It would be crazy. You'd be in here for 3 hours. So anyway, good questions, you guys. But I love to look at this when we're done. And if you do this in, like, this is white, which I love, but if you do this in color, it is like spectacular. And don't use like white. We did pretty much monochromatic, right? But if you do rose and you do the deeper rose and then the lighter roses all the way to like a baby pink, oh my gosh, ridiculous good. Or sunflowers are good. I did a similar one. If you go to my page, it's probably a bit easier to find on Instagram, honestly. But I think at the top of Facebook you can look at photos or reels or whatever. But on Instagram, I think I have it pinned to the top right now. You'll see me making a sunflower one. And I put all kinds of cool stuff in the sunflower one. That was a few years ago, and I did a time lapse. So it's a time lapse, so it's really quick to watch. But it's the same base as this. So they have these bases year after year. That's why I'm like, okay, they should be doing their summer soon, so spring will be starting to go on clearance. So watch for these bases, you guys, and you can make these designs. Doris, okay, have to work with those, mostly on my Christmas ones, but I'll check Michael's. We don't have a lot of stores to go to. We have Michael's Home Sense winners and Dollar Store, even our Walmart does sell florals. Yeah, we're kind of like that in Reading. We have a Hobby Lobby and we have a Michael's. And there is Walmart too. But it's hard. We're kind of detached from everything, so, you know. Anyway, okay. Where am I at now? Let's add... Let's add these guys. And you know what these are? And I made a mistake. Someone asked me, well, I don't know if Michael's calls them that. Let's see. They call this a basic bush. But you know what these actually are? They're not cosmos, or they're not enemies, or I can't even think of that word now. These are crab apples. So these little white ones from Michael's are called crab apples. So, Walmart does not sell florals. It's about 8 or 9 years old. Yeah, ours does. And I go to Anderson rather than Reading. It's just a little bit nicer down there. It's like a few miles down the road. But yeah, they sell, but it's super limited. Oh, if you guys go to Walmart, I should have picked one up because I was at Walmart the other day. They have some white cherry blossom stems that look like they're $40 branches. They're like, I want to say 36 or 48 inches tall. They are gorgeous, gorgeous. So if you go to Walmart, go down Floral and look at them. They're these huge, sorry, my GoPro. These huge branches, like you could just put a few of them in a vase, they'd be gorgeous. Oh my gosh. But yeah, they do have those there. So some stuff Walmart just knocks it out of the park. Okay, so I'm going to cut these all off this bush. And we'll add these guys. And what we're going to do is double them up. So I don't know if you could see that. Well, I haven't really used any yet. We could glue these in single. On that one, I used my picking machine to make a bunch, but I think we'll just glue them in separately, very tightly together, so that they make a bigger bunch rather than one stem, because it's kind of like the look I'm going for. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is missing a bloom, and I have some extra blooms. These blooms fall off though. These were Michael's spring. But I do notice these little blooms do fall off a little bit. Maybe it was from shipping. But I like how they droop. So I'm going to put two together. That's how I want to install these. So they're a little bit bigger little lump of them. Does that make sense? So what I did on my last one, and let's just do that. I'm going to pick them so I can push them in. If you use your picking machine, just make sure when you're done with this wreath, check the underside of the wreath so nobody like injures themselves, slices their finger on a metal pick sticking out the back. So if you see it sticking out, just clip off the end of it. So let me bring this up here for a minute so we can get these going. And I don't need a lot of length, so I'm going to cut off some of this length when I combine them. So groups of 2 are going on this. There's a 2, there's a 2. The time lapse of this one came out pretty cool because I made one earlier today, so I set my camera up so I could time lapse it, and I'll post that later tonight, but it came out pretty cool. I love doing time lapses. Does anybody else do time lapse when you're working? They're so much fun. Okay, so there's 3. That's not where they're going to go, but I'm thinking one more bundle so I can put some on the outside. So if I do 3 on the inside, I'll do 3 on the outside. we won't need to go on the inside of the wreath, like top and outside. There you go. That's what I meant to say. So let's cut one down. I have one left there, but let's cut down and get 3 more groups of 2, I mean. Yeah. Losing it. There's 1, 2. So if you keep your little piles, groups of 3s, when we get to this point in the wreath, you'll be good. And you keep in that triangle method, you'll be good. So let me put all these guys together, and then we'll install these. What do you think so far? Is this making sense? Something you guys might try? It's like, I'm like, why do I show them today? What projects do I have to complete that I can show you and that is going to make sense on camera too? Because some things don't translate well on camera for some reason in floral design, unless I'm using all my cameras. So hopefully this makes sense. It's not too bad. Okay, so to start on this one, I'm going to go on the outside again. So let's go. I'm going to shift this so I am at, let's see, we're going to go 6, 11, and 1. So I'm going to come over here, and only because I see a big void right here. Sometimes when you get to this point, you'll start seeing where you need some white. So 1 there. I need some white here. And even if it's not perfectly, like 11 and 1 is fine. The general area, so it just makes sense. And then over here, we need some white. Perfect. So these are on the outside of the wreath. Right like that. I'm pushing these off the table, aren't I? Okay, so I'll go around and install these. Super easy. And you can bend them up a little bit so they don't go so far straight that they lay on the door or whatever you're putting this on, you know, where you don't see them as much. You want them to come up toward the ceiling a little bit, or straight out towards you if you're building on an easel. So you'll still see them from the front, even though they're on the sides. I love these little crab apples. They're so cute. So cute. Okay, I'm going to put one over here. Don't be afraid to just pick up that ivy, you guys, because it is in the way. The original ivy from this wreath is just, it's thick. Okay, we're going to put one right here. So I'm going to bend that up a little bit. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, so I need one right here. So again, I'm looking, I've got one there, one here. So you stay in that triangle position, and then it won't look funny like, oh, we missed a spot of that, right? Okay, so now let's look at that. And you can see it from the side. We've got our sides covered all the way around, okay? Okay, so now I'm going to shift that. So these are, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3. So let's shift it just a little bit, like that. Okay, so these are going on top. So let me see, where is there the least whites? I see a little void of white here. So let's, I'm gonna bend it again so I can get it into the wreath. Down and in. Not that I'm gluing it now, but this will just help it. Well, wait, that's right in with that one. So we don't want them, I don't want them stacked. So did you see my mistake I almost made? Here's the bunch I just put in. I don't want them right next to each other. We need to spread this out a little bit. So let's take that back out. And I have other things to go in, so it's fine. So we're going to come over in this area here. This is where it gets a little confusing. You got to really pay attention to where you just were so that you're not stacking them on the outside level and on the top level. Okay, so one there, and then I have one down there, so I need one there, let's see, yeah, one over in here. And I'm okay if they're near the little roses I put in. So come right in here a little bit. Yeah, let's come over a little more. And then I'm going to put one, that there, not there. One's going to come over in here, in this area here. So there's our little crab apples. See how it's just coming together? Okay, let's get these glued in. Fun stuff. Push it in, and hopefully it doesn't come out the back. But every time I end up having to kind of cut a little bit and get rid of those picks, which is fine. Okay, got that one. This one has to come in. So I've got 1, 2, this is the third. And then you start talking to yourself like that. This is the third one. This one goes here. It's like Bob will walk past my door and go, "Who are you talking to?" Me? Talking to me? I'm okay, nothing to see here. I'm just talking to me. Okay, so kind of recess that a little bit. So, and now you'll see, there's periods of big clumps of white, green, a little bit of clumpy. So did you see how it's not completely perfect, but it's looking cool? So look how far we've come. Okay, so we don't need any more of these guys, but we are going to add some of these. I love how these look in this wreath. Love it, love it, love it. So we're going to go ahead and use all 3 of these branches. And we are going to actually, again, double up the berries. We're not going to just use one little bunch. We're going to make it into 3s. And I think we're going to use all 3 as one little bunch. So there'll only be 3 groups in here. We don't need a ton of them. And they're going to live on the top of the wreath. Not on the outside, not on the inside. They're going to live on top. So let's get those going. Oh, sticking to me. My stickers that I'm putting in my pile so I can figure out the ridiculous amount of money I put in this wreath. It's worth it. It's worth it. Okay, so let's cut these off. And I am, of course, going to save these leaves. These are good leaves to save. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick these together. And there's a leaf I don't need. I'll cut that off. So that I have a bigger bundle to put in, which will look better. So you just got to twist them until you find the right combo there. Right like that. So see, it's a bigger bundle. It looks better than a bunch of little tiny ones. And I don't want to put this whole stem in and have them like spray out. I don't want that look. I want it to look like we have 3 little bundles of berries around this wreath. I gotta really hope to get these in here. And then I'm gonna put a lot of glue. But look at how good that looks with a little one like that. Okay, so these are gonna go right on top. But see, I have these areas of green. Like here's a big mass of green right here, right? Good place for one of these berries. Berry picks. So we're gonna make sure that lives right there. Let me get these guys going. Oh, this one's missing one. Don't you guys hate that? I was gypped. Either that or I stole it for another design and didn't realize it. Usually I put them in my scrap box. So let's grab another one back here. Here we go. Let's use this one. And to save time, I'll just put the whole stem with the sticker back there. I can get that off later, because this is a lengthy tutorial. Okay, so we've got these 3. Let's cut that a little bit. Ooh, it shot across the room. Is that going to work? No, it did not. It did not. I think I had, oh I did, I had a leaf in the way. Make sure you don't have leaves getting in the stem, because it is not going to work. Came right out. It was too thick. So I'm going to pull that one off too. Got to get these in there. There we go. Okay, so I've got one there. Again, we're going to do the triangle. We're going to have one live over here. Get this last one going. I think it's better just to cut all the leaves off except for the very top. So you have no leaves down below. They're just easier to pick. If you don't have a stemming machine, you can use the wooden picks that have the little copper wire and you just wrap it around. Or you can use floral tape and just wrap them together and then glue them in. All of those methods will work with this. Okay, so I have 1, 2, I need one over here. This will live right in here. Right like that. Those will look real pretty in there. Okay, so let's get those glued in. We're getting there. For those of you that hang in there with me, we are getting there. I'm going to put a little bend on these too, so a little kind of a lazy L, not super sharp, just so I can get it down to that bottom. And then we're going to start pulling this up. You don't want to push it in too far too. You want this coming up so it can be seen. So we're in here. Here's my needle nose. Be careful if you use the metal picks. If you're gonna, I should have said that before, if you're gonna bend this, use your needle nose so you don't slice your hand on this metal pick. That is not fun. Okay, so 2. And the 3rd one. Spin this up a little bit. Be generous with the glue again. Okay, so I need one right in here. And they're not all at the same height, which is good too. They're pointing a little bit different, but I still have the spiral going on, so there it is with the berries. Those berries are a good look for this kind of a wreath, you guys, if you haven't picked them up already. They are wonderful. Okay, you do get a few little of the berries that come off, but it's fine. Okay, next we're going to put these guys in. So when I put these, I don't know if it shows on camera back there, you saw me all week cutting these guys off. I did not cut it off this time. I used those little wispy branches. So, and they do push up, so I pushed them up, and we're gonna make little bundles of 3. So push those little greens up, right like so. Because it kind of looks good to have that wispy coming out of this wreath. So I thought, I'm going to try that. I'm going to keep them. I'm not going to throw those away. Because normally I can't stand using things that look this plastic. But in here, you don't really notice it. So what we're going to do is we're going to stagger these in groups of 3. Like this, okay? And then I'm going to even up the stems which is the longest. Like that, and then we're going to cut them all even at the bottom. So like this. So we've got 1, 2, 3. They're not all at the same level. Stagger them a little bit and pick them together. So we're going to make 3 of these little picks. Super easy. Push the greens up and cut them. Oops, too far. Don't go all the way to the top. Go pretty close, but not all the way. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Even them up and put them together. There's 2. This is the boring part, I'm sorry. It's a little boring, huh? Oh, what we do for our wreath. Oh, see, I'm missing one there. That's weird. Gosh, maybe they fell off in my baskets. I'll have to search for them. Hate to lose a bud or something like this. You're paying for that little bloom. Okay, so there's the third one. And this we can put over here. Okay, so we have 3. So we're going to go in between the berries because that's kind of our reference right now because this is getting so crowded, but we want that little pop of this green. So I don't want to hide all my little roses, so I'm going to go behind those. We're going to just kind of bend them a little bit and we're going to tuck them on in. But look at how nice this green looks, you guys. Let me hold this up in a minute here. So that's, well, I could go over a little bit because I don't want it spaced out that far. Since I'm not installing this, I'll just kind of try to place it a little bit. There's so many greens in here now. So there's one. And then this needs to come in the middle a little bit. They don't need to all be at the same level. So these are going on top. I like this one's closer to the middle. This one's a little bit more out to the outside. And that's totally fine, you guys. They don't need to be at the same, you know, level on top. And the third one, just going in between these, I think I'll put this one right here. There's a good little space right there. But you see how that line just pops in there? It's a good look. It's a good look. Oh, Connie, thank you. Thank you so much. Never boring. I feel like it's boring. I'm like, oh, I'm not saying anything. I need to talk. All right, guys? Let's see. Because this is a long wreath to do. Yes, Doris, a very, very expensive wreath. Thank you, Terry. Yeah, thank you, Leanne. Yeah, it's an expensive one. And not only do we have a lot in it, this is labor intensive, you guys. This, I mean, where we're at is 5. So we're an hour and a half. We're almost done. Of course, I'm talking. But, yeah, a lot of labor in this one. Between figuring out what you're going to use in it, that's a lot of work right there. It probably takes, I don't know, if you're shopping, probably at least 30 minutes to an hour just to pick out everything. Or me, you know, digging through all that I have. So, a lot of labor. I do kind of like these little wispy things sticking up though. But a lot of blooms, a lot of labor. That's why when you see these, I don't know if you guys have ever seen one of these being created before, but when you see them on Etsy or you see them on Front Gate sells these kind of guys, that's why. There's a lot that goes into this kind of a wreath design. So when you see the price tag, you're like, oh, I get it now. That's a lot to do, and it is. And we're not done. I still have 2 more elements to place. but they're pretty quick. So, okay, 1, 2, and 1 over here. And actually 2 more elements plus the rest of the greens, because we need some of that. We need some of these background greens to come forward, and it'll also help with the dimension because it's pretty flat on top. If I'm to hold this up to you, see how flat? That's not my style. I like to have a little bit popping up at the end. Okay, so next we're cutting down the hydrangea. Yes, we are. It's barely a little bit of a pop of it in here. Let me move this over, but you'll see it, but barely. So all I do is I start cutting off the bottom layer. Has anyone ever cut down a hydrangea? So you just cut all the little pieces off. See how there's all these little tiny branches? Just cut them off. So you don't need a whole big old bloom. I mean, you could if you just wanted 1 or 2, but these are expensive, these hydrangeas. So this way you get a bunch of little pieces and you still get the hint of the hydrangeas without breaking the bank. Because this was Hobby Lobby. These are like 10, 12 bucks and 40% off. 1 bloom, that's a lot. At 10, at 40, that's $6 for 1 flower. That's a lot of money. So I would rather, these are gonna glue in, I would rather just put pieces of this in, which I think looks pretty. So I'm just gonna go place these here and there where I'm gonna glue them in. I like a little piece living there. Now there's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just looking for where I could use a little touch of this. So I'm not following any type of clock right now. I'm just like looking around because things have kind of crowded in and whatnot. So it's like, where do I need a piece of hydrangea to live? Maybe a little piece up over here because we're gluing this too. So I gotta look, I've got a piece there and a piece there and a piece there. Let's put a piece out over here. Piece out. Piece right there. Maybe a piece over here by these guys. I'd like another piece in the middle. Let's do that. So maybe a piece right there. That just kind of brings it together, you know? There's something about a good piece of hydrangea. They're amazing. They're just so pretty. So a lot of glue. You're going to just stick these on in. Make sure you're connecting with the other leaves or blooms because this is not going all the way down if you end up using pieces like this. Got to put a lot of glue and really make sure it's connecting. So I kind of rock it around a little bit. This is the very center of it. This little piece is a good piece because the center always has a good little stem on it. So I can really get it on in there and it'll stand up nicely. Good connection. So again, place twice, glue once, work your way around the wreath. Don't go out of the circle. Does that make sense? So start at 1, work your way all the way around and you won't miss it. You won't miss a piece. Yes, I've done that before too, where I just got, oh, I got a piece there, let me glue that, and then it's like, okay, which ones have I glued? And if they haven't had a long time to glue, you'll pull them right back out. So keep yourself in a circle, going around the circle. And you won't miss it. You won't miss a piece. So I need a piece out here a little bit, because we don't want everything in the middle. Okay, so there's our hydrangea in there. Look at how it's coming together, you guys. Can you believe we started with that ivy wreath? Ah, it's looking so amazing. Okay, so we got those. So the other thing I put in the other one, we're gonna do a couple of these, is I took, let's push this way. I took these little guys. This was from one of those little bundles like this. These were from Home Goods. Have you guys seen these? Pick these up. These are perfect for wreath accents. Oh my gosh. You get a ton of these little tiny silk roses. This was $12.99. Look at how many rose heads are on there. I love these bundles, I'm telling you. So we're going to take these into groups of 3, and we're going to do 5 of them. And then we're going to put these in. Let's see. Angel, Kathy Swader, gonna try one? Yes, definitely, Angel. You can make the design in the evergreen wreath base. Yes. I do too, Angel. I like the little pieces of the hydrangea. I think if you put big ones, it does. You don't get that delicate garden look. We're going for like that English garden look. And when you use the big ones, you lose it. You lose all the detail. Because when you put these wreaths up, when I deliver these to a customer, they sit and study it. You watch their eyes. It's kind of fun. Or, you know, like when I had my booth at Trends or whatever, they study it because there's so much going on in it. It's really interesting. But when you get just big flowers in a circle and all that, big hydrangeas in a circle, they're still pretty, but they don't have the impact that something like this does. Little pieces of items, you know, little touches here and there. And that's why we're adding little groups of 3 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll do 5 groups. Set those back there. So let's get these bundled really quick. What I like about these too is all the roses and the crabapple blooms, all those that we put in were kind of a bright white. These have a little bit of an off-white tinge, and it'll make it look more natural. You don't necessarily need to use all bright white. If you have a little green tinge to your little accent flowers or the little bit of an off-white tinge, I think it's a better look. It's very hard to find. I don't know if you guys have ever done fresh or gone to a fresh floral supplier. It's very hard to find pure white. Most real flowers have a little tinge of the green in them. So I think if you add that to your design, it'll look even more fresh. My goal when I'm doing flowers, that's my look. I like everything to look as fresh as possible. It just looks real. And to me, when you go with that look, everything looks a little more elegant too. Looks a little more high-end, I guess you could say. So we're just doing little groups of 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and picking them together. This is why I could never do without this machine. Okay, and then we have all these little stems to throw away. And these are very bendy, so these I don't save to put like on the eggs or pumpkins or whatever, because yeah, no, they're not strong enough. Okay, so we're just gonna start. Let me do 3. I'm gonna do 3 toward the outside. And I can't really, I'm just gonna kind of place them. So 1, wait, I did that backwards. I gotta always start with the Y down here. 1, 2, 3, 1 here, and then because I have 1, 2, 3, then I can do 4, 5. Make sense? And then I have them equally distributed. So this is going to come in here somewhere. So just a little touch of those white roses is going to go, wow, that looks cool. So let's go ahead and get these installed. So we're getting to the end, you guys. Thanks for hanging in there with me. This is a long project, super long project, but I think well worth learning how to do it. If you're just layering, if that's all you think about it, lay your stems out and you're going to layer each type of stem. It's not a big deal. Very easy to do. As long as you're keeping track of where you are. Use that clock method and you'll never fail. And you'll have the most gorgeous wreath. Angel, are you going to try one? See, for me, it's like, and everybody asks, will you do something with some more bows? And I'm like, I don't know, I tend to gravitate toward the more garden look than using a lot of bows. Bows just aren't my thing for some reason. I would rather spend the money on ribbon, balloons than bows or ribbon. Does that make sense? So maybe I'll get more into ribbon. I have in the past, but lately this is my jam. So, but if you guys want to see bows, look at Angel's work because she does gorgeous work. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So I'm going around my circle. And then again, this is the type of wreath, I've said this on other tutorials, when you're done, give it a little time to dry, and then I want you to tug on every single thing you put in. Takes a little bit of time, but you'll be guaranteed that nothing's going to fall out. Super, super important. So this one's already glued, so I think we've gone all the way around. Okay, so we've got that. Now, the last thing left, I promise, are all these pieces of greenery, because now we need to bring all those up front. So let's see what we got. Let's see what we got here. We're going to start with, I guess it was called Pothos. We might not need that big one. Let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. We got 6. So we could do 3s and 3s. So let's do this. So we're going to take these and we're going to do 2 wides back to back. So we'll do here, but see, I love when you can bring this up in the front. Makes a lot of sense. So we got a piece there. We're going to put a piece here. And these we're almost putting straight up and down. Still got a little bit of that bend. You know, we're going to do that little swirl. But we want them really coming out of the wreath. This is what you're going to get your dimension. So we have 3 there. Then, if I shift this, we can do another 1, 2, 3. So groups of 3. We're going around now. So I've got 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So now I can do 1 here, 1 here. Don't worry about covering up your other elements. And then 1 down here. Right like that. And I think that's all we need of that. So let's go ahead and glue those in. But this is going to make the wreath not so flat on the front. Just want a few pieces coming out. You guys still with me here? Did I put anybody to sleep? Just wondering. I kind of eye too when you're pulling these out because this is so busy now. Look at one element when you go to pull it out. After you've placed them, before you pull it out, like I'm like, okay, there's 1 mini white rose right there. Or there's the piece of hydrangea. So that when you come back to your wreath after you add glue to the stem, you know where it's going. Because I've lost my place that way too. It's easy to do. Super easy to do. So I kind of like eye what I'm pulling, what's sitting right next to it. Does that make sense? So. Both sides of that. I think this is the one we started with, yes. So there's a little bit of that coming out the center, right like that. Just, it adds that, boop. That's how it goes too, boop. Okay, so now we got this guy. We're not going to put any more of that. I don't know, might put a piece in the center or something. But this is what really has disappeared on the perimeter, right? So let's get some of this coming out. And I think we're going to go, let's see, how many? 1, 2, 3, ooh, I have 4. Do I have 5? Come on. 5, there it is. I'm like, I should have 5. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to come further into the center. 1. That's going to come out to the right here. Let's shift that a little bit. Okay, 1. 2. So I'm doing my Y, 3. And then we're going to go 4. And 5. We'll come out over here because I've got that piece there. So it looks semi-balanced. And then I need one little piece over here because that one's not sticking out too far. No, on this side of it. Right there. Okay, so let's glue those guys in. This is a long one. I was probably like, what are you doing in there? The longest tutorial ever. This is one of the longest, like with the wine barrel ring was the same thing. This one especially, because you are building a whole wreath from scratch, so you're not just adding some, you know, sprays or whatever, so it's a little bit more time consuming. But worth it, I think. And I like how like the roses are recessed now. You know, a lot of the elements are recessed like it's growing. Some things are coming more forward than others, which it looks like it's naturally growing. So kind of nice. They're just little hints of like those little pom-pom balls, those little carnation type things. So good look. Again, when you're pulling the greenery out, pay attention to where it came from. Do yourself a favor. I think this one I'll bring in the center a little more. That's in, that's in. That is not. And that's where we started. You guys, I think we got it. I think we got it. We made quite the mess on the table. We're not going to worry about that. But there you go. Oh, glue strings everywhere. There is our finished product. What do you guys think? And if you look around the side, we did not neglect our sides. A lot of glue strings. But in the middle, it's like organized chaos. There is some chaos to it, but you want a little chaos to make it look natural. Do you think you guys would try it? What do you think? So easy. If you just work in the center, work in the circle I mean, and think you've got the outside, the top, and the inside. Make sure you're covering all 3 levels. Keep going around in your clockwise, you know, circle, and you will never mess up. It's easy peasy. Whoops, lost my page so I can see you guys. I lost it. Maybe it's over here. So I can see your comments. Yes, Angel, I think interest does make the wreath, definitely. Thank you for sharing your design. Oh, thank you, Doris. Thank you, Angel. Doris, try it. Send me a picture. I want to see what you come up with. Twig Stems and Blooms. Hi, how are you doing? Her little post of her wreath that I did is like totally going viral, by the way. Let's see. Jamie, thank you. Kathy, thank you. Connie, thank you. Oh my goodness. So everybody follow Twig Stems and Blooms. And I'm trying to pressure her into getting an Etsy or an online website. I'm going to keep working on you because I tell you, I also got some DMs on that wreath. They want to buy it. They want to know how to buy it. So I'm going to tag your business name, and then I know that you told them on the post that it's only local, but think about it. I think you could be doing really well because you have a gift, girl. It's gorgeous. Hi, Amber. So I'm hoping you guys try this. It's a long process. It's a long process to teach. This would be an excellent in-person workshop. I want to end up doing like a weekend retreat workshop. And if I do, this is going to be one of the designs that I teach on like this. If we do a Friday night, Saturday, and a Sunday morning, this will be a Saturday wreath, because this is a really fun one to do in person, you know, with all the different layers of this. But once you do it and you think of the wreath as the inside, the top, and the outside, you'll have no problem getting this whole look. But it's just key. So if you watch this on replay, think about the placement, think about the clock, think of it as a clock face, and then doing your Ys, and then doing the backward Y, so you're filling in between that Y. So that's the only thing I can say. And then pay attention. I didn't really go, of course, I don't do supply lists because we're not doing coaching, but try to take notes if you watch this on replay and you want to try one of how many of each thing I've used, because I may have brought like 2 stems or 3 stems to the table, but I cut it down and make many more stems. So to go around this size wreath, this is what you're going to need. And oh, I didn't measure the base either. So I'll grab one out of storage. It may take me a few days, but I'll measure it and tell you what it is, and I'll add it to the comments. So anyway, thanks for hanging in with me, because that was almost 2 hours, you guys. That was a long one. But anyway, all right, everybody follow Twigs, Stems, and Blooms. Follow her Facebook page. Help her grow. And Shelly, I'm just saying, get yourself a website or an Etsy. Get yourself one. Okay, all right, guys, I'm going to get off here. So I think I smell my dinner, which is a good thing. And we'll come on tomorrow and do something else. And again, I'm still working on my YouTube and my website, Etsy. All of that is all in the works, and I'm almost done. It's just taking me time, because I just would rather be in here. So, you know, like all of us. Anyway, all right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. You're welcome, Angel. And we'll do something else fun. I don't know what. Haven't decided. Haven't thought that far in advance, but we'll do something. All right, guys. Bye. Thank you.